QELCA is a programme for non-specialist palliative care providers. So people who work in settings where they're going to come across people who are approaching the end of life. It's directed to small groups or teams who are then going to go back into their care setting where they work to be change agents, to lead on change, which will improve the experience of patients and families in their care. The model of palliative care is about finding out what matters to a person at end of life and then focusing the care delivery on that and enabling. So as practitioners, we have expertise, but we're also very much about individual person-centred care, facilitating empowerment of the patient. And QELCA programme takes that model, that approach into the classroom to lead on change.
QELCA is unique because it's a transformational learning experience. People come to QELCA and have to really participate. They have to think about what would I want if I were dying, and then they can transfer that to the care that they give to the people that they work with.
Many services are under-resourced, not just in the UK but across the world, and with an ageing population. The demands on services are great, and the QELCA programme encourages practitioners to think imaginatively, creatively, to work with the resources they have.
Since we started running QELCA, we've trained over 115 people. But in reality, that means we've trained many more because they go in and make changes and transfer their skills to other people.
I would describe QELCA as a model that provides a very bespoke learning opportunity. It's a safe space to explore much deeper palliative and end-of-life care on a personal level, but most importantly, how it translates into a change of practice in a very supportive way.
I think it's invaluable because it's been both practical and theory-based, and I think putting the two together is, for me, the ideal way to learn. We did a couple of practical days here in the hospice where we followed the consultants and followed the nurses for a while and also went out into the community. So I found it amazing the way they talked with the patients and families regarding their end-of-life wishes, because it was something that didn't necessarily come easily to me to begin those kind of difficult conversations. So I found that really useful to bring back into practice in the ambulance service.
I think the important thing about the training, what QELCA training does, is that we don't assume as educators that we know what people want. It's very individual. And with QELCA, the way that it's designed, where they can create their own curriculum, then is much richer, their learning, it's relevant.
Whereas I've seen it work, and that makes a difference.
I think what it made me do was have much more empathy, because probably I was a wee bit task focused before I went on the course, but afterward I was able to think about what it must feel like for them coming in and for their families. So I definitely think it made me a better nurse, a better person for trying to understand what somebody must be going through hearing the news that we have to give.
I think everyone's got a story, when it comes to end of life, whether it be as a paramedic out on the road or to do with their family. As soon as I heard about the course, it was just something I absolutely had to do.
So we've been called to a 89-year-old female who is a end-stage cancer patient.
Okay. For a paramedic or someone in the ambulance service, it's quite unnatural not to just pick someone up, wrap them in a blanket and take them off to hospital. And we've been doing that for so long, and it's not necessarily the very best for the patient. For me, as soon as I get to a patient who's maybe actively dying or has a palliative condition that just needs additional support, the QELCA course is always in the front of my mind now. It's not always about taking the patient to a hospital, and sometimes the very best thing for the patient is to allow them to have a good death, and by that it means being at home with their friends, with their family, as pain-free as possible and as comfortable as possible.
Well, I'm pleased that you're happy with all the care that you've had. I don't want that the patients who are end of life and are dying feel that the pace is frenetic for them, and I think that we need to keep that as a focus. We need to step back, I think, sometimes from the busyness and understand how we need to slow down a bit for those patients and their families and allow time for conversations with them. Before the training, I'd always had a keen interest in end-of-life issues, as I think it's so important that it's delivered appropriately and with the right level of insight, knowledge and skills. So once I'd been on the course, it did boost my confidence and allow me to deal with any issues that might arise in my clinical areas. So it definitely supported me to then support the rest of the team to work through those issues.
Brazil was classified as a country with one of the worst quality of death and dying in the world. We have around one service to about 1.3 million of people, which means that Brazilians are dying with suffering and pain. We noticed that the QELCA program promoted a powerful and meaningful impact on the practice, and it promoted change on behavior, attitude, and participants became really engaged in promoting changes within their services and in their teams.
When people engage with the whole QELCA program, it really feels that you're accompanying them on their personal journey, that kind of deeper dive into what does palliative care, end-of-life care mean, not only for them personally, but also in their professional roles. And it's encouraging that curiosity to ask questions, to look at things in a different way. And I think most importantly is what it leads to. It's that change in practice. It's what they gain from here and what they take away.
Every QELCA is different, and we never know what people are going to want to learn at the beginning of a QELCA course. And I think we've seen QELCA really change people's confidence in providing end-of-life care. That is really beneficial.
So we hope that every person will have access to pain relief and compassionate care at the end of their life. So we truly believe that the QELCA program is a powerful and a valuable tool to help us with this mission.
I believe passionately that we have something really important here. The QELCA program, we've proven through evaluation, changes attitudes. And that's its primary purpose, to change attitudes, to motivate people. Once you've changed people's attitudes and they really want to make change, they will go and find out what they need to know in order to do it.